Hey y'all, I'm back with my February 2022 reading wrap up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Books with Kimberly. Don't forget to like, comment, share my channel, and subscribe. Today I am talking about the books that I read in the month of February. I read a total of 4 books, and let's get right into them. The first book is In Covenant with Ezra by Belvin. And because I knew from Summer Reads Romance, who recommended this book, that Ezra was a pastor, I was expecting some Christian romance, but I was not expecting Ezra to be more like Christian Grey. This book is about Pastor Ezra. He is about to take over the church for his father, who is the bishop of this huge church in Harlem. He meets this young woman, Alexis. She isn't a devout Christian. She just attends services with her good friend every now and then. And one day while he's giving the sermon at this church, they connect. He immediately sets up an arrangement so that the two of them can start traditionally courting. And that was one of the things that really kept me reading this book. I haven't ran into books where they talk about traditional courting, which is the two of them are going out on dates, and not even just going out on dates by themselves. He was going on dates with an associate minister and that associate minister's fiance, and the two of them were talking about abstaining. He has been abstinent for 8 years. That's something that Alexis has never done before. They have this chemistry and this tension building up, and the whole time you're trying to figure out if he is going to let go of his Christian morals and make something happen with Alexis, or if they're going to get married and have a speedy wedding so that the two of them can explore this tension that is so obvious that the both of them have. I will say there was this darkness about Ezra that had me wanting to read more and more. Even though he's this Christian man, you can still tell there's just something that he's holding back. He even mentions being a beast. And so like he's holding back this beast, and the whole time I'm just like, now when is he gonna unleash the beast? What is beast mode but Ezra, Pastor Ezra? And so I thought Alexis was an interesting character as well. You know, her going through so much, but still being this independent woman who's trying to help her father, help her neighbor. I really enjoyed this book. I give it 4 stars. What kept me from giving it 5 stars is I do feel like this book dragged. I felt like some of those chapters where, you know, they were courting could have been cut out, because the whole time I'm like, look, I want to see him be a beast. I want to see what's going to happen. Is he going to break his vow to God? Like, there was so much anticipation of like, who is Ezra? I also feel like they could have gave a little bit more of who he is, but this is the first book of a 3-part series, and I was told that you learn more and more about him as the books go on, so that was done purposefully. The next book that I read was Mine by Stephanie Nicole Norris. Y'all know I have been reading this series about the Alexander Rose brothers. This book is actually about Phoebe, who is one of the triplet sisters of these Rose brothers. And so Phoebe has been having this huge crush on her brother Jonathan and some of the other brothers, their best friend / fraternity brother Quentin. Quentin is fine. He got locks. He owns this set of gyms. He's a real popular trainer. And the two of them start to have these stolen little moments until finally Quentin decides he really wants to be with Phoebe. I'm only giving this book 3 stars because I did not like how when the brothers found out that Quentin was pursuing Phoebe, y'all, one of the brothers threw some punches at Quentin. And I was just like, okay, I understand this is your best friend. Y'all had a pact that y'all wouldn't date each other's sisters, but first of all, she's grown. Second of all, just like he has a past as being a playboy, so do you, and all of you change your ways for your beautiful wives that y'all have now. Why can't he change his ways? Like, why not give him a chance to show you that, you know, she means more than just a hookup? I mean, he's known her for all these years. Why would he just start dating her and just throw her off to the side? Like, why would he play with your sister like that? So I just didn't like this whole feud between Phoebe's brothers and Quentin, and just how they were very much like, he's gonna break your heart, he's gonna break your heart. And it's like, okay, well, no, you never seen him in love, but do all of y'all have a history of being in love? No. I read all them books. Y'all wasn't doing too well in the love department either, so why y'all judging? But overall, this book was still entertaining and steamy, and you know, beautiful black couples and romantic getaways. She got flew out to Paris. I got all my romantic feels. It just wasn't a 5-star read for me. The next book I read is Paper Heart by Keisha Ervin. I was really excited to read this book because Keisha Ervin has a YouTube channel, Color Me Pink, where she does reality and scripted TV show reviews, and she also does fashion haul. This book was actually really good, and it reminded me why I do like urban fiction, because it's fast-paced, it's lots of juicy drama, and you know, they just really push the envelope and go there. Paper Heart is about this young girl named Scotland. She is a nanny. She ends up backing her car into this very expensive car who the owner is Lennon Whitmore, and Lennon is horrible, y'all. Lennon ends up calling her fiance, who is Knight. And Knight, you know, he immediately has a little attraction for little Miss Scotland. The two of them reunite on their birthday. They have the same birthday and they're out at the club. They reunite, have a kiss. A few days later, they meet up and decide that they have feelings for each other. Remember, I mentioned Knight is the fiance of Lennon. So the two of them start this affair. And y'all, I like a little messiness in the book. I like some drama. So I was here for it. I thought this book was really good. I give it 4 stars because it was just fast-paced. It was entertaining. It was a quick read. I haven't had a quick read in a long time. And, you know, sometimes I say, you know, it's because I am a slow reader. But sometimes these books be dragging to the point where I'm like, I'm bored with this chapter. Let me go hit Instagram right quick. But this book was very fast-paced, and I was able to finish it in 2 days. So I really enjoyed that about it. What keeps me from giving this book 5 stars is that, y'all, the twists were like handed to me. Like handed to me. It was like very outward, like, oh, the two of them winked at each other and you know, oh girl cheating with so-and-so, or one of the friends made a little quick comment and you can kind of guess that, oh, the friend gonna betray her. It was like these twists were just handed out. There was no surprise, no shock. And also, which I'm not really taking off for this, but Scotland, she drove me a little bit because there would be times where her and Knight would be together. They would run into people who knew him as being the fiance of Lennon, and old girl would just be like, why did you introduce me as your friend? And I'm reading the book like, sis, like, I know you in love with him and everything, but you know this man got a whole fiance. Like, they're asking him, how is Lennon? You really expect him to, in front of these people, be like, oh yeah, Lennon is my fiance, she's fine, but this is my girlfriend. Where they do that at? So I was very confused at like how she expected these professions of love, knowing he's having this internal battle of what to do with his love for her, but his relationship with Lennon. One thing I will say is Keisha did a very great job of making Lennon this horrible person. There were some cringy scenes because Lennon was horrible, and so it made you be like, yes, Scotland, steal this good man from Lennon because she don't deserve him. She is a piece of work. The last book that I read in the month of February was The Deep by River Solomon, and it also included some other authors, David Williams, William Hutson, and Jonathan Snipes. This book was so good, y'all. It was an audio book, so it was really good. I think David Diggs was the narrator of this audio book, and he did an amazing job. I could listen to him read books all the time. This book is about these mystical creatures called the Renwaju, and they are sea creatures. They are mermaid-like, but they are all black. They are descendants of what they call two-legged creatures, which is the black people on land. As you read this book, you find out that these creatures are created from on slave ships when the white people would throw overboard slaves who, maybe were dying or sick on the slave ship, they would throw them into the water, and the women who were pregnant, they would die, but their fetus would come out of them as a sea creature with fins and with the tail. And this is how the Rwandu came about. That's why they resemble the black people who live on land. Y'all, this book was such an interesting concept. And even before I finished, I was just in love with it because it reminds me of why it is so important that black people write science fiction. It gave me Octavia E. Butler, Fledgling, and Wild Seed. There's also N.K. Jemisin, who I read one of her books. I think it was the 5th season. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a person who I don't read books like Roots. I don't watch the movies that, portray people as slaves. It's really hard for me to watch stuff like that. So I think it's very genius when authors have a way of enrapturing you in a book that's about mermaids, that's about vampires, that's about this dystopian world of people having magic, and being able to put the history of black people in these books so that you get this mystical fantasy world, but you also can relate to it in such a beautiful way because your history is in here. Some of the things that you go through, some of the issues that you had to face are in this book. And so just support black people who write science fiction. But back to this book, Yetu is the main character. She is a historian. From the beginning of them becoming a huge colony at the bottom of the sea, they decided that the truth and the history of their people was very depressing. It was very sad, and it made them want to rise up against the two-legged people on land. And so in order to keep their colony in peace and harmony, they decided to have historians. So what they do is all of the memories, all of the pain of their ancestors, of these slaves, they take all of that history, and one person in this colony, the historian, holds on to all of that knowledge. And once a year, when everybody is yearning to know who they are and where they come from, the historian pours out this knowledge to them. They have 3 days to sit with it, to understand, to comprehend who they are. And then the historian, before they can uprise, get angry, go try to attack the people on land, the historian comes and she gets all of the history and she takes all the pain back and she holds on to it for a year. Yetu is tired. She is sick of this. All of the history, all the knowledge is painful in her body. She does not think that she can go another year holding on to all of this. And so in this book, as Yetu pours out all of the knowledge to these people, she leaves and she does not plan on returning. She feels like all she is the historian, this holder of painful memories from the ancestors. She wants to figure out who she is. I give this book 4 stars, and what kept me from giving it 5 stars is that there were like 2 storylines intertwined in this one book, and I feel like they were not as cohesive as I would have liked. And there were some chapters that kind of went over my head. I was kind of trying to get the gist of what was being said, and I was having trouble kind of comprehending everything. I do love this beautiful line that came out of the book as Yetu became friends with one of the two-legged, which is a human, who can walk on land. And she became friends with them and told them about her situation. And they were like, to not know your history is death. And I was like, wow, as a person who, like I admitted, sometimes I do run away from this knowledge and how painful it is, but to not know what your people have gone through is not knowing who you are ultimately, and it is like death. And so I thought that was an interesting theme in this book, but I also just kind of wanted overarching theme to just really sum this up, something that I could really meditate on. But they gave so many great gems So much to think on and reflect on that I absolutely love this book and recommend that y'all read it. That is all the books I read in the month of February, y'all. Let me know what books y'all read. And don't forget to like, comment, share my channel, and subscribe. And thanks again for tuning in to another Books with Kimberly video.